guys, now we have completed the service chaining concept, how to configure and everything. It's very easy. Now what I will move towards the next use case of your SD-WAN central control policy is route leaking. So this route leaking is also a common use case of your Cisco SD-WAN centralized control policies. When if you want to do the route leaking, you have to export OMP routes between the VPN routing tables. That's it. This is route leaking. We have to only export the routes from one VPN to another one. But let me just explain you according to our topology. So in our topology, if you will see here, if you remember, this part is your VPN1. This part here is also your VPN1. This part is your VPN1. This part is also your VPN1. Now, apart from this, if you will see, this part is your VPN2. This part is your VPN2. Here, this part is your VPN2. And here, this is the part which is in your VPN2. Now, if you remember, guys, each WAN is routers, these routers, they will create a separate routing table, right, for each VPN, right? They will create one VPN, one routing table for VPN 0, one for VPN 1, one service VPN, right? Then VPN 2, which is also service VPN. They have created these separate tables. Now, if anyone from VPN 1, like from here, if he wants to reach to VPN 2, or from Dubai to Dubai side, or Dubai to London side in VPN2, or London side from VPN1 to VPN to Tokyo, you will not able to communicate. There is no communication because they used to maintain the separate routing tables, and you cannot able to send these part. They will not communicate by default with each other. Just remember, your service VPN will not communicate by default with each other. This is the default behavior of your SD-WAN fabric. It is similar. It is just a similar concept. Let me just tell you one thing. If somebody has any kind of experience, guys, with regards to, if anyone have any idea of Cisco ASA firewall, in Cisco ASA firewall, what used to happen? There is a one concept of virtual context. There is a one concept of virtual context. In virtual context, what we used to happen, this is let's suppose this is your 5585X series. It's a firewall which we used to put in a data center. It's a DC level firewall. So what we used to do in this firewall, we used to create some small firewalls. Means we will divide one physical unit into multiple virtual unit, or we will divide one physical unit into multiple logical units. Like this is my context C1, this is C2, this is C3, this is C4, this is C5, this is C6. Which means if I have a multiple customer, let's suppose I have a multiple customer, and these customer, like let's suppose they have some server here. They have some servers here. Let's suppose they have some servers here. Now, let me just tell you here. Let's suppose this customer, these are the servers belongs to Wipro. These are the servers belongs to SCL. Means SCL peoples will work in these servers. Let's say these are the servers for Capgemini. Let's suppose these are the servers for Infosys, right? So these are in a groups, right? These are two servers. So what we will do now? And guys, now what is the requirement here? These servers, let's suppose they have hosted in a company called Sifi, and this company they have their data center. So let's suppose these servers, your Wipro, SCL, Capgemini, Infosys, they have hosted into the Sifi data center. And what they have requested, from the Sifi.com, Wipro, SCL, Capgemini, and Infosys, they want a firewall service. What? They have requested one firewall service. Means whatever traffic is flowing from your SCL employees to these SCL servers, Wipro employees to these Wipro servers, that traffic will go through some kind of firewalls for the security reasons. In that case, now, what is the solution we are having at the Sifi side? What Sifi will do, either it can put separate firewall for Wipro, separate firewall for SCL, separate firewall for Capgemini, and separate firewall for Infosys, right? This is the one of the solution. Just tell me one thing. Is this solution is scalable, guys? Let's suppose now in CP data center, I have denoted only 4 companies. Maybe it is having around 10,000 companies. That he has created a servers for these 10,000 companies, the separate servers. Or these 10,000 companies, they are taking the CP data center services. They've hosted their servers into CP data center. And all these 10,000 companies, they want some firewall services. In that case, you are not going to install, you are not going to configure, you are not going to maintain the 10,000 firewalls. Basically, what you will do, you will purchase few boxes, few data center level boxes. That box, they are having high CPU utilization, high throughput, high connections capacity and all, right? We will purchase such kind of boxes, and we will create a context on them. We'll create a virtual context on them, and we will allocate this. Let's say this context C1 we will allocate to Wipro. Let me use some different color here. This context C1 we will allocate to Wipro. We will connect these Wipro servers, and this context may be having interface gig 0x0 and gig 0x1 here. This context 2 we will provide to SCL. This having interface gig 0x2, and here we have gig 0x3. Then this we have a C3 we will dedicate to Capgemini. We have gig 0x4 and 5 here. Then the next context we will allocate to Infosys 6 and 7. I have a setup like this. Now, these logical or these virtual firewalls, they are the individual firewalls, guys. What they are, the individual firewall. They don't have any kind of communication. They don't have any kind of interaction with each other. C1 cannot able to communicate with C2 by default. C2 cannot able to communicate by default with C3, because it is it's a dedicated firewall for Wipro. Whatever security policies you will configure on C1, they are only apply for Wipro. Whatever security policy you will configure on C2, they will apply for SCL. In the similar way, whatever policy we will configure on C3, they will apply for Capgemini. And they will not able to communicate with each other. Means what we have? We have just divided one physical hardware into multiple logical units. And that concept, according to Cisco ASA, is known as virtual context. In your SD-WAN, whatever service VPN we used to create, VPN 1, VPN 2, you can think these VPNs also are dedicated. Maybe these VPNs, they are also not able to communicate by default with each other. You can think them like a C1, like VPN 1 is context C1, VPN 2 is context C2, like that. Means they will not able to communicate with each other by default. Okay, this is the one of the use case, guys. And like this particular thing, like concept of virtual firewalls is available into almost all the devices, like your Cisco ASA. This thing is known as virtual systems, or it is known as virtual context. In your Palo Alto firewall, you can also divide this one physical Palo Alto firewall into multiple logical boxes, and that time the logical boxes is known as virtual systems. In your Nexus devices, you can also divide one Nexus devices into multiple BDC. In your FortiGate firewall, they will also have a concept of BDOM. All are the same concept. In your router, even though in your router you can also able to create VRFs, virtual routing forwarding. Means we can divide one physical router into multiple virtual routers, like maybe VRF1, VRF2, right? Like this. You can think VRF like or VPN1 and VRF2 like VPN2 here. Now, if you want to allow the communication between this VRF1 and VRF2, you have to configure something called VRF route leaking. In your SD1, if you want to allow the communication between VPN1 and VPN2, these are the service VPN, you have to configure the route leaking. And this is the most common use case in every organization, guy. You will always get this route leaking scenarios there. Now, how this type of scenarios will help you, let me just tell you here. Let me just give you one scenario, guys, so you will get some idea. Let's suppose I have my office environment. I have my router here. Let's suppose this is my Viptela as router 1. It has a connectivity with MPLS, and it has a connectivity with the internet. It has two circuits towards MPLS cloud and towards the internet cloud, like this. Now, at this particular location, what I have, 1 minute, guys. At this particular location, what I am having, let's suppose I am having 3 departments. So I have this department. This department is my production department, prod. I have one more department here. Let's suppose this department is my development department. So this is my prod department, production. This is my development. And after that, I have one more department. Let's suppose this is my testing environment. Right? Or maybe you can also think about like production department, development department, or testing department. Or maybe what? I have my IT department. I have my, here I have a IT department. Then here I have my HR and sales department. And here I have my contractor departments. Now, what is the requirement? Whatever servers we are having here, or some servers you will have here, some servers you are having here. What do you want? There is a one requirement. You want they will not able to communicate with each other by default. This is your requirement. So what you will do in your SD-WAN, what you can create, you can put these 3 departments into 3 VPNs. Like this is your VPN 1, this is your VPN 2, and this is your VPN 3. Right? And when you will put them in a separate VPNs, they will not able to communicate with each other. But maybe after 2 years, you will get some requirement. What now? You have decided to merge these 3 departments in a single unit. What? You have decided to merge them as a single unit. Or you can think in this way as well, like this is, let's suppose your company A, this is company B, and this is company C. And if these 3 companies wants to merge them with, and these companies belongs to the same person, owner of these 3 companies, same person, now he has decided to merge them. What is the merging means? Merging means he wants to allow the communication between all these departments or all these companies. And if you want to achieve this thing, we have only one solution, which is route leaking. We have to configure the route leaking. That's it. I hope you got the route leaking thing with regards to the theoretical things. With regards to theory, I hope everyone got the route leaking. No. So you can see here, one of the biggest use case of your route leaking is this one, guys. What used to happen? We have here, this is my data center or hub location, and these are my branches. So I have these two branches. Maybe these are in India. Maybe these are in China. And this particular data center I have in Singapore. You can think like this. So in India, what I have these two branches where I have BPN 3 and BPN 3. On my China side, I have BPN 4 and BPN 4. On my head office, I have just BPN 2, where I have some shared services. Means what? I have my storage servers here. I have my some testing servers here. Means these peoples, they needs to access these particular servers every day for doing some kind of business things, right? And you can see these servers on BPN 2, these branches are in BPN 3, these two branches are in BPN 4. So guys, by default, are my peoples from India branch, they can able to access these shared services by default? Yes, no? Is there any communication possible by default between your data center BPN 2 and your India side BPN 3? It is possible or not? Guys, are you guys sleeping or what it is? I need a response basically. Yes, no? Chandru, you say yes. How it is possible? Okay, so by default, they will not able to communicate. If you want to allow the communication, you have to go with the route leaking concept. Okay, you have to go with the route leaking concept. You have to leak the route. Means BPN 3 routes you have to insert into BPN 2 routing table, and BPN 2 routes you have to put inside BPN 3 routing table. Because you know, if you go here right now in your vSmart, now let's look according to our lab diagram. Go here. Let me just log in into my vSmart. If I run this command, so IP routes BPN1, so OMP routes BPN1 in tabular format. You can see, if you will see here, routes, which is your 170 to 16 series, right? 170 and 16 series routes, they are part of your BPN1. Only the routes which from the 192 series, like 192, 150, 51, 52, and 53, they are in data center, right? They are also in BPN1. So, and also you can see in BPN1, are you able to see these routes? 192, 160, 61.0? No. You will not able to see these routes because these routes is part of your BPN2 routing table. You can see these are routes of BPN routing 2. In the same time, if you go inside site 1, so IP route, if you run this command, are you having any routes of BPN2 here? No. Even though from Dubai site, if I'll try to ping 192, 168, 60.61.100, ping is not happening. Means I will not able to reach. I will not able to reach from here to here. No communication by default because they don't have routes. If you go into your Dubai router site to here, you will check the details. So IP route, it is also not having any routes, right? Even though there's no proper routing as well for this. So it is also not having any routes, right? They are not having any routes. So run section OSPF. Let me just check. I have the OSPF configuration or not. I have the OSPF configuration. So what I can do, let me just check my template here. Do I have advertised the routes on OMP or not? Because if I'll go into my Dubai branch, so OMP routes VPN2 in tabular format. I just got only few routes here, and remaining routes has been I'm not able to see. I'm not able to see the remaining routes here basically. I just have these routes for Dubai network only. First of all, let me just see. I'll go into my template, into head office. So BR template, I look for VPN2 template. This is my VPN2 template, and I look for, this is VPN1 OSPF, this is VPN2 OSPF template. I'll go here, edit. So I have the redistribution here. Redistribution is happening. I'll go into my policies because I have created, I think, hub and spoke only for with service chaining. What it is happening, it is basically not advertising all the routes basically. So what I can do for some time, what I can do, let me deactivate my central control policy, guys. Okay, this is the one which is activated. Let me just deactivate. We will come to the normal case first. Okay, and from here we will do the all the configuration. Okay, now policy has been removed. If I'll check the routes for VPN2, I can see all the routes right now. And on my site 2, this time I have all the routes of VPN2 here, but it's still I cannot able to communicate 172.16 like 70.1. Ping is not happening because they will not communicate by default. Just remember. Now let's try to configure the route leaking, guys. Okay. So what is route leaking? So according to your Cisco SDWAN, route leaking is a propagation of routing information between service VPN. Means if we want to allow the communication from VPN1 to VPN2, we have to go with the route leaking concept. For example, in the site local routes learned via a routing peer connected in VPN1 are intended for the VPN routing table of vSmart1. So whatever routes we will get from VPN1, my vSmart it will just store them on the VPN1 routing table. If we export these routes from VPN1 route table into another VPN route table, this process is called route leaking. Configuration is very easy, guys, and concept is also very easy. Now, when do we use the route leaking concept in the production environment when we need this thing. So a common use case is when an organization wants to provide some shared services to the clients connected to different VPNs, while at the same time making sure that the clients cannot access each other. Means, what is the meaning of this line? If you go here, whatever peoples we are having here, they can able to access these services. But if these people they wants to communicate with each other, this will not go. This will not happen. This is the one of the case, guys, right? Okay. Now go here. So this is the one of the common use case, guys. When we do the route leaking. So if you will see, for example, access to shared storage, like we have a shared storage in data center or database services or software repository, ERP, any kind of shared resource. If we want to allow that communication, we have to go with the route leaking concept. Now, let's try to understand, let's try to perform lab number 1 in your route leaking. What is the lab number 1? We will do the route leaking between BPN 1 and BPN 2, where BPN 1 in all sites and BPN 2 is on branch sites. So right now, if you will see, this is the case of our lab as well. In your head office, what we just have here, BPN 1. In your branches, what in your branch office, we have BPN 1 and BPN 2 both, right? So both BPNs we have in your branches. Only head office, it is just having BPN 1. So what we want, we will allow the communication from BPN 1 to BPN 2. This communication I want to allow. This is my first lab. What we have to allow this particular thing. So now let's do one thing. Let's basically create your topology. What we have to do, if you want to configure this route leaking thing, guys, always remember what we have to create some list basically. So we have to create one VPN list, right? We all site list we already have. So let's try to create all these particular list. Okay, I'll copy. I'll go into my policies here, into topology policy, or first I'll go into the list, then I will go into the sites. So I have all branches, but what I want to create one list which will include all my sites, including head office and branch office. So I will go with 50 is my head office, 60 Dubai, 70 London, 80 Tokyo, and 90 New York. All sites. I've created this all site. This is the one list I have to create. Now the second list you have to create for BPN 1 and BPN 2. Go here into BPN. We have already this BPN 1 and BPN 2 list, right? And after that, but we have to apply the policy into all sites in inbound direction, guys. Just remember, we have to apply the policy in inbound direction. Now we have to create some route sequence basically, where we have to export BPN list 1. We will export into BPN 2. In another sequence, we will select BPN list 2 and we will export on BPN. It's very easy. Now let's try to do this particular lab. So go here, go to into topology table here, just create one, add one topology, custom, and just give the name route leaking. Version 1. This is my route leaking version 1. Okay, now what I have to select one route sequence. I will select that route sequence here. In this sequence, what you have to select one thing. Select here BPN. Which BPN? I will select here BPN 1. What I want, go into the accept. Action is accept. In action tab, export. What? Export to VPN2. Simple rule, guys. Now, select another rule. Select your VPN, which is VPN2 this time. Export this VPN2 into your VPN1. These are the two simple rules you have to create. Now, default action is reject, and you have to basically accept this default action. So everything else will work fine according to the default behavior. Save this policy. Go to into your centralized control policy here. Create the centralized control policy. Next, import the existing policy for route leaking. Route leaking version 1, import it. Next, give the name here, central policy, route leaking version 1. Now, apply this policy in inbound direction on all your sites. Add. This is the policy basically. So we have created one sequence. We are matching route where we have called RBPN1. It is basically using all prefix. So we don't need, if you want to just export the specific prefix, you can define these prefix, but I'm just doing for all the prefix. Okay, you can, if you will add prefix list, so it will do the route leaking according to that one. X and accept, export to VPN list 2. Here we have selected VPN 2 and now we are exporting in VPN 1. Default action is accept. We have applied, we have created one list which include all our sites. We have one list for VPN 1, VPN 2. This is the prefix list for all VPN by default created, and we have applied this policy on inbound direction. Save it. Go here. Activate it. Go here. So if you will see, this was the routing table for VPN2 previously in your Dubai router. Right? Let's wait here for this policy to succeed. So Chandru, you got the answer, right? If you want, you can define the prefix list. So it will take the route leaking according to these prefix. But here I'm doing for all. Now, policy is applied. Cool. Now you can see this is the output of my previous command when I have looked the routing for my VPN2. But this time, if I'll run the same command, you will see some magic here. You can see now from where these subnets are coming. Previously they are not there, but we have this time these 172 series subnets. They are in VPN1, right? We have these. You can see we have all your subnet of your London. These are the VPN1, then your Tokyo, right? Then your New York site. Even though at the same time, if you will check your VPN1, in VPN1 also we have some prefixes. You can see we have these prefix now. 71 series in 190, right? These are the VPN2, which means we have exported the routes. So guys, what used to happen? Let me just tell you one thing. If you go in the vSmart this time, in the vSmart, if you will run this command, so OMP routes VPN1 in tabular format, you can see in OMP basically what he has done, whatever routes it is having in this particular VPN1 previously, right? Previously, these are the route it was having in your VPN1 till here. till here, right? What it has done, it has taken all these routes and it has copied all the routes of BPN1 into your BPN2. And at the same time, all the routes from BPN2, it has copied on BPN1. Now, how you can see what are the routes we have received from BPN2 in BPN1, right? So for that, how you will check? So right now I'm on this. If you will see, I am seeing the routes in BPN1. So if you want to see the BPN2 routes, you can see ext keyword here. Whatever routes we are receiving from ext keywords, which means these are the routes which we have exported from some different BPN. This is how we will basically verify which routes we have received from BPN2 or some other BPN with the ext keyword. You can see it has all routes have ext keywords here, right? At the same time in BPN2, you can see some ext keywords route. See, ext means external, right? These are some external routes we have received. Same result you will also get here. You will get some ext routes. Go down. So here I cannot able to see this ext one. Right. So guys, now just tell me one thing. So always remember, because there was always a confusion. Okay, I think written this thing. Let me just tell you one thing. Okay, there is a one point I have written. So one of the most essential aspect of your route leaking is that route leaking between the BPN routing tables only happens on vSmart. Just remember. So the thing is, guys, your route leaking thing is done by the vSmart controller. Route leaking is not performed by your VNS routers. Just remember. That's why, because you can see this ext keyword, you can only able to see in your vSmart level. This ext we are not able to see in your VNS router, because this is the device who is doing the route leaking, and he know these are the routes coming from, these are the external routes. We can verify that. So this is for something, some different BPN, but if you will run this command, Betty, you will get some external thing, right? Extranet. Ext means extranet. If you will get that keyword, which means these are the routes coming from route leaking. Okay. So route leaking between BPNs happens only on vSmart. When is routers only send and receive OMP routes to vSmart? When is routers do not locally leak routes between BPN routing tables? They are not doing locally. Just remember, an inbound control policy matches a particular set of routes and copies them into another BPN routing table by using the export command. vSmart keeps all BPN to router to level mappings for all the routes. When we change the next hop of the route in BPN X, vSmart checks if the new next hop router has BPN X and a corresponding level. Okay, so this line you will understand when we see the lab number 3. Okay, so just remember, guys, your routing is happening at the vSmart level. Now, in the route leaking, this time if you go into your site Dubai, previously you have seen this ping was not working, right? But if this time you can do, ping is working, right? Because so IP route, it has all the routes now. You can see on Dubai side, when we have all the routes of other sites, BPN to subnets, you can see here. So that's why from Dubai right now, I can reach 192.168 71.100. This as well. So wait here. I can 81.100. I can just do the trace route, check the path, do the trace route for 192, 168, 73.100, source, loop back 3. Source loop back 13. You can able to see everything in the path basically. So we are tracing to this final destination. It is going to your Dubai branch router. Then here you will see the 192.160.70.0.1, which is your BPN2 interface gig 0x3 IP address in your London site and the final destination. So this is how, guys, we have to do the basic route leaking. This is the use case of your basic route leaking in your SD-WAN environment. And right now you can see they are able to communicate with each other, right? Now let's try to basically look for the another lab